welcome to Flock Talk episode number 25. We're kicking year 3 off with our best and worst lists of 2018. Should be a good time. So we're going to be talking about our favorite things and our least favorite things, but before that we got some hot topics to cover.
Hot topics?
Catherine, Chris, I think that there's only one hot topic that we need to cover, and that's the Extra Life live stream that's happening the 7th to the 9th this month, December.
What is the Extra Life live stream for people who don't know anything about this?
It is a charity stream where 30 different video game players, podcasters, personalities get together and take turns doing 72 hours of live streaming.
Whoa!
Well, this is specifically through the Cartridge Club. The Extra Life, tons of people do it, like lots of streamers do it, but the Cartridge Club, it gathers up different members who've all volunteered their time to join in on this charity stream. So I think Derek from Two Dorks and Dollar Dorks and Retro Pixel have been arranging it, and there's going to be a ton of really great streamers from the club and some new ones that didn't do it last year. So
lots of people. There's going to be a lot of different styles of games too.
Yeah, so we don't know what everyone's playing, but
are we doing it?
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
We're gonna do it.
Our time slot is on the 9th between like 11 and 2, roughly.
I think so. This is Eastern Standard Time. So I think it starts on the Friday at noon. Musty's going to kick it off. And then it goes for 50-something odd hours straight into Sunday afternoon, I think. So we are on the last day.
Oh, save the best for last.
No, we are not the best. But you can come over and play, maybe.
Yeah, I'll come over and play.
We'll see. We haven't decided. I think last year we played Wii games, and I think it's kind of our thing. So we like to kind of show off maybe some Wii games that people just never really knew were good.
Yeah, we'll take out the Cooking Mama 7.
Hey man, people really like that Cooking Mama. So
I don't know if you saw Musty's video now promoting the stream, but of the clips from last year, he chose Cooking Mama.
Oh, did he really?
Of course he
I haven't seen it yet. I saw it came out. Oh, that's cool.
But we got a bunch of other hidden gems on the Wii and the Wii U that we want to show off. Just a couple off the top of my head. We got Astro Boy and we got Castle of Shikigami 3. So
I don't know what either of these games are.
We might not play them, but we got them.
We own them.
And so if you want to find out if we end up playing those, check out the stream during our time slot. But more importantly, check out the stream during everybody else's because they're going to be great and they're going to beat games.
And the Wii is only quality games. There are only quality games on the Wii. There was never any shovelware on the Wii. So
nope. Yeah. Never a bad game. That's what the Wii was known as.
No bad games on the Wii. You guys don't have one of those fitness boards, do you?
We do.
We do.
Oh!
Yeah. Are you going to play Wii Fit for your hour?
Do some yoga?
You know what?
It's just going to be Chris doing Wii Fit.
I'm going to work out while we do this.
Pose.
You have to wear like a pink headband and like a jogging suit.
I'm ready to play Wii. That's my workout voice. I'm ready to play Wii. Are you ready to play Wii?
We haven't actually finalized what we're going to play, and I guess maybe we could let you decide too, but mostly we'll just tell you what to play.
We do kind of want to focus on the games people might have missed on the Wii. We're not going to be playing Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Or
so the thing
Zeldas.
is, like, there are so many Wii games. Like, it was just a huge, because I guess it had a really long life, right? Like, it was out for a long time, and there's tons of shovelware, but there's also a lot of hidden gems, and we're gonna sift around our collection and see if we can showcase a couple of those.
Wee.
So that's it for Hot Topics. We're going to be moving on over to our main topic, which is the best and worst 2018. But first, some messages.
This is Player One of the Cartridge Club, and I wanted to take a second to tell you about Bonus Barrel. BB is made up of developers, artists, and testers from within the gaming world, and they bring their knowledge and insight to every show. Topics ranging from gaming culture to development cycles, you don't want to miss what these insiders have to say. Every Wednesday, you can get your fill of Rob, Seiji, Lef, and Shelby wherever you listen to podcasts.
So 2018 was a year
It certainly was.
And that's about all I could say about 2018. But there's some good games came out in 2018, and we played some good games in 2018.
Yeah, we did.
I played games that weren't even from 2018 in 2018 that probably make my list.
Absolutely. Does somebody want to go first?
Yeah, what are the parameters of our lists here? What have we compiled for the listening audience?
All of us separately did our top 3 games that we played in 2018. We also came up with our best gaming moment and the worst game we played all year. So each of us have our own answer for that. And we're just going to go around in a circle and we're going to talk about it. And we're going to stand by those decisions.
I don't have to say we were going to go around in a circle.
Okay, we're going to go around in like a triangle because there's 3 of us. Sorry, Kathryn. Jeez.
And the sides of the triangle are straight. They are not curved. And so we are going in a triangle.
This triangle is obtuse like this conversation.
Compared to where you guys are to where I am, this triangle is actually an acute triangle.
It certainly is.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. That's some geometry for the listening audience. That's value added.
Yeah, I guess. So, number 3, my third favorite game that I played this year is not a game from 2018.
Ooh.
It is, in fact, Day of the Tentacle, which I played with Kathryn early in this year.
Such a good game.
It was probably my favorite co-op game that we played this year.
That was on my honorable mentions list. Usually, and this is kind of the problem that happens, I guess, when you do these like best of lists, you're at the end of the year. And like, I can't remember every single game I played this year. I have to look at a list if I kept a list. I don't usually keep them up to date. And so my list, when I first write them down, it's like the last 5 games I played because that's as far back as I can remember. But when I looked at my list and I was like, oh my God, Day of the Tentacle, that was a ton of fun. And it was one that was on our list to play for a really long time. Like we've had that game forever. And Chris always tells us about how good it is.
And
It's
Maniac
good.
Mansion was one of my favorite games
Yeah,
growing
it's one
up.
of your favorite games.
And I've never played the sequel. It's crazy. So
I wish that I could play that game co-op. Like, I wish I didn't have it internalized to the point where I'd just be like, do that. Use the crowbar there.
it's such a shame. I wish they continued to make these games. I would play a bunch more in that series.
Have you guys not played Grim Fandango?
We haven't. We haven't played it.
too. We haven't played it.
Oh.
I played Broken Age.
Okay.
How about
Which is-
Full Throttle?
I think Full Throttle is probably on the weaker end of them and on the shorter end. I think generally people who played a lot of the Scud games back in the day, I think generally they thought that Grim Fandango was the masterpiece and Day of the Tentacle is kind of like the second best one. So if you're looking to play actually the best one, and then you guys can say which one you guys think is the best one.
Yeah. We have it on the PS4.
Do you know Grim Fandango as well as you know Day of the Tentacle?
No,
Oh,
no, I do not.
interesting.
Also, Sam and Max. Where do you put Sam and Max? Hit the road.
I did not like the Sam and Max game that I played.
Was it the new one or was it the old one?
It was on the Wii.
I don't know about this. I don't know what game you played then. I don't know what's happening here.
But you know what? Sam and Max was in my top 3. It was Day of the Tentacle. I loved it because I played it with Kathryn. That's my third favorite game.
What's your favorite part?
When you click the thing and it does a thing and then you mix it with the other thing to do another thing.
No. This is a 30-year-old game. We're talking about the game. Give me a break.
No, I
My-
honestly can't remember.
my favorite parts were in the past.
Yeah.
So like I
Oh.
like chopping down
Hoagie.
the cherry tree.
Yeah,
I liked the on the kite.
on the kite. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of things I liked about the past. I didn't so much like the future. There wasn't anything going
Okay.
on there.
Yeah.
And
Well, it just escalated at the future, right? So by the end, she had to do everything, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's-
but it just felt like you're going through the motions in the future, but in the past it felt like you were actively solving puzzles.
But just, I think in general too, I just also really liked that mechanic of sending items through the time machines to the different era, like the different places and stuff. Like it's just so clever, right? Like it was just a really fun thing to do. And like when you find something and you realize, oh, I have to send it like to the future so that she can do this, so that she can get that thing, and send it all the way back to the past so that he can do the other stuff. When you start piecing it all together, it feels really good.
I really liked the being able to switch at will between the three characters, very similar to in Maniac Mansion where you choose the kids, and if one kid is locked up, you can go and free him with another kid. Yeah. So I really like that feature. I'd love to play more of them, ultimately.
I also like the painting the kumquat tree into a cherry tree.
Oh, yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoy the hamster. Anything to do with the hamster, like how you have to deal with the hamster.
You freeze them and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then the novelty salesman, too. I liked him.
Oh, the guy who's in his room playing in the present.
Yeah.
Cousin Ed or whatever he is. Oh, and the two guys in the past that are making the statues.
Statue?
Yeah. They're so good.
Oh, it's all really clever and fun.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Play Day of the Tentacle. That is, I think, a recommendation from all of us.
Kathryn, so honorable mention was Day of the Tentacle for you, but what was your third favorite game?
Okay, so they're not in like exact order, but Spider-Man is there on my list.
Why aren't they in exact order?
Well,
you can just choose an order.
I like to pick favorites.
Yeah, because Spider-Man's going to be upset.
I really have a hard time ranking anything. Like it's one of the hardest things.
Just roll a dice.
I can't pick favorites or anything. So if I were to look at the three I have on my list, Spider-Man is third on that list for me right now.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that game. I liked it more than I thought I would. I thought I would just be watching you play, but watching you play made me want to play. All of the city stuff, everything that you do that's outside of the main storyline, I never got sick of because flying around as Spider-Man is just so much fun. I don't know if it's on your list as well.
It was my honorable mention.
Oh, really? That's pretty impressive because you played a lot of games that you just really liked this year. So yeah, Spider-Man's great. And I think that, I mean, we already sold our copy because we could get full credit back, whatever. But I think that we would get it again so that we would get the DLC. I know there's already a DLC out.
Yeah, there's the heist with the black cat, and then the next one's Jigsaw. And then there's a third one.
Are there going to be three? Yeah, so I think it's totally worth it, and I'm actually really looking forward to picking it up again someday. I don't know if I would play the whole game over again, but just to be in that world again and swing around and stuff.
The third one is Silver Sable, another Silver Sable story.
Oh, okay. Those were just like a little bit just fighty.
Yeah, the Silver Sable stuff wasn't great. People didn't love it, but maybe they're going to fix it with the DLC.
Yeah, I guess that's what people were saying, right? That it was really just setting up the DLC. Because I guess Silver Sable's not really, I had never heard of that character. Is it a known character?
Yeah, from the 90s. It's a very 90s character.
So if you don't really know that much about Spider-Man and like that Marvel lore, then it was a way to introduce it to kind of prepare you for it.
I remember Silver Sable from the 90s, but it's probably likely a 70s character. But
oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, she had her own comic in the 90s called Silver Sable, and it was one of those foily covers where it was all bumpy. That's how.
Yeah. She was on a bunch of trading cards. I remember all of these things from the trading cards. Hey, remember in the 90s from the trading cards?
Or the hero clicks.
Silver Sable had like a 6 on strength. And and like a 5. No,
do you remember all the stats from every Marvel card?
That's my superpower, baby.
Oh, that's not a superpower. That's something else.
Oh man,
Chris, what's your third favorite game?
The third favorite thing I played this year. Everything on my list is something we haven't spoken about on the podcast yet, so that's fun, huh?
Yeah,
my
that is fun.
Third favorite thing that I played this year was Dungeons and Dragons. Let me go back. It's not just Dungeons and Dragons, though. I have a dream. I have a dream that one day I will pick up one of these pre-made adventures and never have to work to be a dungeon master. I will just pick it up and I will play out of the book, and the book will have a better story than I could ever come up with, and that is my dream. And I feel like Dungeons and Dragons Curse of Strahd comes as close as you could to that dream as possible, while still like being an enjoyable Dungeons and Dragons experience. that can be molded to how you want to play the game. Myles and Kathryn, you're very aware of the way I do dungeon mastering. I would never just do something out of the book. I always have to change things. I always have to move things around. I always have to make them enjoyable. We don't just go through the motions to go through the motions.
You especially don't like the stories to get bogged down in combat and stuff, so you often like try to balance the story with those types of encounters because you don't want it to just always be fight, 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 do a little bit more, fight, fight, fight.
It's my least favorite kind of role-playing. But what Curse of Strahd gives the dungeon master, and if you're at all interested in Dungeons & Dragons, I wouldn't necessarily start with Curse of Strahd, but I would do Curse of Strahd like second. Play a few regular games, and then if you're interested in the more role-playing-y aspects of Dungeons & Dragons, I would grab Curse of Strahd. If you're a dungeon master, I would read it. If you're interested in dungeon mastering, I would read it. See all the different things that can be done. And then if you're up for it, you can sink your teeth into a real character. So often in these adventures, you're given like bad guys that have no motivation or bad guys that aren't fun, bad guys that are just bad. Curse of Strahd is like Strahd himself is a vampire. It is based on the Castle Ravenloft module that came out in the early 80s. But Strahd himself is an ancient vampire that has taken over this land, and you get to play him, and you get to do all kinds of evil vampire-y things, but also you have to play him with the hubris that he has. You have to play his flaws. There's a lot of opportunities to do some really fun things in the book.
It was a real shame that you couldn't get into character, huh? you just saw that and you're like, who wants this?
No, it was a lot of fun to play as much as we played with you. We never finished the campaign, but I think also, like you said, he's a really good character for the DM to get into, and this one felt a little bit different. It felt almost like a video game, kind of like where the final boss like kind of just pops in. It was like, oh, not this time, and then takes off, and then you carry on with your story. And he would pop in at these like kind of key moments. Mm-hmm. In that sense, it felt kind of like a video game, like working your way through a castle or something, and he's there. But
it was like Ghouls and Ghosts, in the beginning where you're having a picnic with your wife, and then this demon just shows up, kicks your clothes off, and then takes your wife, and you're like, my wife.
My
wife.
But also, like, just the atmosphere, everything was really well developed and stuff. So I liked it. Sorry that it kind of fizzled out.
I mean, everything fizzles out. We got the flavor of what it could have been like. We never actually did Castle Ravenloft, and I think that would be a fun two-shot adventure, but hey, here we are. I had a lot of fun with it. If you're at all interested in what the best of Dungeons & Dragons can be, pick up Curse of Strahd even to read it. It's a very interesting read.
It's good for inspiration, especially if you are interested in running a game and don't know where to start. Like, a lot of times, like, if you're not a super creative person or are intimidated by writing, it's a good one because it has a lot of kind of flavor built into it that you can kind of take pieces of and run with. And that's kind of what you did. Like, you took pieces and then embellished it certain ways. You put there was like a real dark undertone that you added and stuff like that. Like, you could make it light and funny if you wanted, and you can make Strahd a comical character, right? But it just gives you kind of like the first seed to build upon.
And I think that's the hallmark of a good DM is when the players get attached to something that doesn't have a background in a manual, that the DM just goes with it. And now that's an important piece of the game.
Yes.
Because the players were really interested in it.
Right. Because the people who wrote the book are not going to come over to your house and get upset if you don't do it their way, like you have to adapt to what the people are having fun with. That's how you get people to come back and play with you.
When we play with you, you're very much heavy on the role-playing side, less into the mechanics of the game, but then the book also offers you, if your group loves the combat and loves all that, then that's all built into these sort of pre-made campaigns too. You can make the encounters, harder, more difficult, or more frequent if you want to.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You can add all this stuff in. So there is a lot of ways to just sort of customize these pre-made campaigns to your playgroup.
And Death House. That first adventure in the book that takes you from like level 1 to 3, that's one of my favorite like level 1 to 3 adventures. Death House.
That house was pretty deadly.
It was difficult.
It was fun. Listen, pick it up. Don't pick it up. I have a copy. Reach out to me. I'll tell you all about it.
So, a game that you told me all about, Chris, which is Dead Cells. That's my number 2. That's my number 2 game.
Dead Cells.
Dead Cells.
Is it also
Oh.
on your list, Chris?
Nope.
Is it not on your list because you knew it would be on Miles's list?
I don't have video games on my list.
Oh, really?
No
None.
video games.
No game stood out to you at all. No video game stood out to you at all this year. It was all board games.
Only one video game stood out to me this year.
Oh, right.
Oh.
Okay. So, Dead Cells, we talked a lot about it in the last couple episodes, but I finally finished it. That's the one thing that's changed. I beat Dead Cells.
You got good.
Man, it was good too when you beat him. It was like down to the wire. I was like really excited. Like it was pretty thrilling to watch.
Like, I
because-
used all 3 health potions.
4. Don't you have 4? Yeah, you have 4 by the
I
end.
used all 4 health potions, and I got hit on my life. You know how you get the one...
There's like a rune or something.
Yeah, there's
right?
one rune is you can die once.
Yeah.
And come back with a little bit of life.
Yeah, a tiny bit of life. And that was the first thing I bought in my run, and I didn't die at all up until that point. So I was able to survive with just a tiny sliver. Like I had 1,000 life or something
It was
like that.
probably even
left.
less than that. It was so close. And the other thing is, like, you were stuck on that boss for a really long time, like, and you didn't even know it was the last boss. Like, you were
Because
just,
he was the hand of the king.
you were just stuck at a point in the game, and I loved watching you play. Like, I never really played that much at all, but I played Rogue Legacy, and it's very similar where the more you play, like, you get incrementally better, but you can start to feel the difference, and you can start to feel like, now I feel like I'm starting at a point where I'm going to be powerful enough to beat all the bosses, right? And you kind of hit this plateau right before the Hand of the King, and every time even if you had like a really good run and you got to the Hand of the King with a ton of life, he would still wipe you out, and there was like, didn't know what was missing, and I still don't really know what the turning
challenge
point
runes.
was.
So I hit 2 or 3 challenge runes in my final run, and
So these are like hidden areas, right?
yeah, so it takes you to a only platforming, no enemies mini game.
Oh, yeah.
And if you finish it, that side room, you get a an ability upgrade, and a really good item and a bunch of gold. These extra rooms are the key to beating Dead Cells. You have to do every challenge rune you find, and I did 2 cursed chests in that run, and I survived.
Explain the cursed chest.
Cursed chests give you ability upgrade and some pretty sweet stuff, but you get a counter on top of your head when you open one because you anger the gods. And it says 10, and you have to kill 10 enemies to remove the curse. But if you take a single hit, you die, and your free life doesn't save you.
You learn that the hard way.
And so you have
And
to be
I would
really
always tell
careful.
you not to do them because I was like, don't be greedy. Like,
But it's
so
like
tough.
really the only way to finish that game. You
See-
need to find other additional ability upgrades other than the ones that you get.
How long would the run have taken you to do if you had died? Like if you had to start over the whole run to get to the end boss, how long was it taking you by the end?
Oh, my time was on the screenshot I took. It took me an hour and 15 minutes to
That's
finish
not
the
bad.
game.
But it's a pretty long
Because the
run.
first stage, like when you start playing it, it'll take you about 6 minutes or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But then you can shave that down to 2 minutes, 30
Right.
seconds pretty easy by the end of it, because you know that the only things you need to get are filling up your weapon slots if you don't have good ones. And we're getting deep in the weeds here on this game, but you want to fill up your weapon slots, and you have to find the 2 ability upgrades and possibly a third one if there's a challenge room in the first level.
Right.
And also, like, the route that you take is a little bit different too.
You have to do every route. You got to do every route once.
Yeah,
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to beat everything once.
But like you had been playing so much and we're getting so frustrated by that last boss, I felt like because it was literally whoever hit next, I think, was gonna, like, you were either gonna die or beat the guy, right? Like it was down to like one hit, and if you had lost, it was a perfect run up until then, and I think you would have quit for a bit,
Yeah, I think
maybe
so.
forever, because it really felt like I did everything right and I can't. beat
You
this
know what
guy.
weapon I ended up beating the boss with, which is really crazy because I never used this weapon until the very last run I made.
The Nutcracker?
No, the great sword. It's almost as slow slow as the Nutcracker.
Yeah.
And I used it the entire way through.
It's a broadsword, right?
It's a broadsword, but when I found it immediately, it was 2 plus symbols on it.
Yeah,
so it's like upgrade modifiers.
So it was already came with a stat boost from the very first stage that I played,
Nice.
and then I upgraded it into an S.
Oh,
which is just like a level upgrade, right? Like a modifier upgrade.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. But we
Yeah.
talked enough about Dead Cells. Kathryn, number 2 on your list.
Number 2 on my list, which might not be number 2 overall, is Overcooked 2. I don't know if it's on anyone else's list, but I know we all play and love that game. We won't get too deep into it because we have talked about it a lot on Flock Talk, but it is my favorite co-op game, I think, for sure. That's so that's how I don't like to say anything definitively, but anyone I talk to, even if they're not into video games, I'm like, you would probably like Overcooked. I don't know why I think that, and maybe it's actually not a universally.
I think you have to know the controller really well.
That's probably it, but I mean,
It requires Twitch reflexes.
Maybe, but there's only
You have to be
2 button inputs.
A StarCraft player to be able to play.
Oh, you're making fun of me.
No.
It's literally one button, though. It's just one button.
It is,
moving around.
but your hands gotta.
I don't think it's the controls. I think it's the focus, right? It's very easy to not remember what you're supposed to be doing in that game. You could just be chopping cucumbers, and meanwhile there are no orders for cucumbers, right? And you're like, why did I do that? Or you start cooking the wrong thing, or you plate the wrong thing. It is just a level of you have to maintain focus and you have to communicate. And I love the game. Everything about it, the music, the way it looks. I love the character design, and I love playing it, and I love playing it with Myles and with Chris. I love that game. Maybe it's number 1 in my list. I don't know.
To be fair, I think that anytime a new Overcooked game comes out, it's going to make our top 3 list.
Probably. And also, if it goes on sale, maybe digitally for the Switch, I would want it on the Switch because
that HD Rumble.
Yeah.
That HD Rumble, baby.
I want to experience that,
Switch.
feeling the soup sloshing around in the pot and stuff.
Oh, goodness, yes.
Yeah, I want to see if it enhances the experience. And if anyone out there plays it on Switch, let me know if it somehow is better, because I'm so curious about it.
And then also I want to say specifically about Overcooked 2, I really like the upgrades they made from the first one. I like the throwing the items, and I really like the dynamic stages where you were in one stage in one part of the level, and then by the end of the level your stage is almost unrecognizable.
They really
from when it
upped the
started.
level design, and also the interactive overworld map. I think the overworld map could still be better, but they did make it so that you're not just driving around from level to level, right? There's a little bit more exploration and stuff in it. So I just think that it's just going to keep getting better. Or I'm also looking forward to them branching into something new, right? Because if they're capable of making Overcooked and making a game that we love, what else do they have in them?
Here's my
new.
pitch. I got a pitch for the 3rd game from this company.
Okay.
Overclocked, and you're just this employee in an office, and you've been working way too many hours.
Yeah. And all of us are playing individual employees, and you have to do the route properly, go to the bathroom, get a cup of coffee on the way back from the bathroom, say hi at the right time to Johnny, go sit down at your desk.
Because if you don't talk to people, it'll start circulating that people don't like you, and then you'll be the first to go.
This is clearly a podcast by 3 people who have desk jobs.
Who work at desks. There is Nina and I were looking around for a game like Overcooked, and we found Cosmonauts, I want to say, is the name of it. Someone correct me.
Sure.
It's about being on a spaceship. You're all playing different parts of the spaceship, and one of you's the captain, and one of you's the engineer, and you're doing your things in the same way, but it looks very much like Overcooked.
Did you buy it?
No.
Does it have online multiplayer? Could we play with you?
I think it has online multiplayer, but we bought that Daddy Lovers game.
Oh, the daddy. Yeah, the
Daddy Daycare with Eddie Murphy. Dream Daddy.
Yeah, Dream Daddy. Yeah, we bought Dream Daddy instead. We played that for 45 minutes and we were like, I'm not sure this is for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it, but I mean, you
It
also
looked pretty
didn't
fun.
love the pigeon one, so.
I didn't love the pigeon one.
Chris, game number 2 on your list.
Game number 2 is a board game that nobody else has played here. Game number 2 is called Great Western Trail. What is Great Western Trail about? Great Western Trail is about getting cows from one part of the country to another part of the country.
All right, next. Just kidding.
It's so good. It's an amazing game. We played this twice in one night. The second time, I don't think I spoke for an hour because I was just sitting there with my cards trying to figure the game out.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds like a good time. Sat in silence for an hour. It was amazing.
To be fair, that's how we play Overcooked. So
It's true.
You sit quietly and you do a thing. It's lovely. As I get older, my enjoyment of sitting quietly and doing a thing increases while sitting and talking decreases.
yeah.
You know what? Talking is the worst. I'm done with
100%.
it.
Yeah.
Other than for this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This podcast, I'm cool with talking,
This is
but
the
other than
most
that,
I've spoken to Myles all week.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
For a month, I don't talk to anybody. I just save up for this.
Which
So-
month?
Every month. This is the only time I speak.
Oh, this is like a real failed Abbott and Costello moment. But tell me more about this game.
Sure. Great Western Trail. It's a trail. And you could jump all the way to the end with your cows and you could just sell your cows. But what you want to do is you want to start, because you have a hand of cows, so you want to get rid of the bad cows and you want to pick up good cows and you want to like buy stuff along the way and you want to like set things up. So you start building your own places along the trail that you can stop at. But everyone else is building places along the trail that only they can stop at.
It's like Ticket to Ride.
Not at all. So it's like, the mechanic is called a rondelle. Huh?
Oh dear.
Here you go. It is like you're taking actions, but every circuit around the trail, because you go back to the beginning of the trail to start with the
Right.
cows again, every circuit, your action list gets a little bit longer. So you're doing the same things in a round, like you're going
Mhm.
around and around, but your actions on the way to getting around are getting longer, more complicated. The game gets longer and more complicated as it continues.
Because you have more places to stop each time you go
Yes.
around.
Lots of decisions to be made. And at the same time, you have all these options to stop, but you got to go as fast as you can doing
I have
all
a
of that.
question. Is there a bonus for having the largest cow?
There is a bonus for having the nicest cow.
Because have you seen Knickers?
The largest cow? This is very apropos.
Because Knickers is terrifying. And if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, look up a picture of Knickers, the giant Australian cattle steer that is horrifyingly large. And he was saved from being butchered because he's too big to butcher.
Because humans can't eat all those hormones.
He's horrifyingly large.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, you just started talking about cows, and then I couldn't get that image of Knickers out of my head.
That's all we need to talk about the game. If you want to play something that is Euro-y, you're not fighting each other,
How long does a game last?
about hour and a half. Your first game will probably take you 2.
And 4 players is ideal, or
2 players, 3 players, 4 players, any of
it
those.
plays well? Okay.
And it plays really quickly.
It's really hard to find a game that is just as good with 2 players as it is with 4, because 2 players often doesn't feel like enough because
Yeah.
it's just 2 verses, and then 4 sometimes exponentially makes the game longer.
Yeah.
So it's nice to find games that kind of always play the same,
Yes.
no matter how many people you have. That's good to know.
This one is on the complicated side of games. Like, if you're not looking for a complicated game, this is probably what I would stay away from.
It's not a starter.
Yeah, my number 1 game is a uncomplicated game. So
Okay.
Okay. So if you two are done milking this topic, we're going to
Ho-ho!
move over to
Oh
to
boy.
our
Oh,
maybe
wait.
let's do our best gaming moments.
Okay, I'll just tell you that in Korea, the cows go, ume.
They do not.
Like, you know how we say, yeah, if you say, like, a pig goes
Ume.
oink, in Korea, they do something else. I can't remember, but Korean cows, when you're a kid, you say ume instead of moo.
Ah,
Ume.
Ume.
There are other ones. I just can't remember them.
My friend had an alarm clock when we were growing up, and we'd like sleep over, and he had a Korean alarm clock. And I know some Korean from it. You want to hear my Korean?
Uh-oh. Okay.
Here we go. 안녕하세요. 일어나세요.
Oh, that means get up. It says, hello, get up.
How many mornings did you spend at your friend's house?
Why
Enough
does he
that I
have a
learned his-
Korean talking alarm clock.
It would go like the alarm would go off and it would go do 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 do. 안녕하세요. 일어나세요.
Oh, man, that sounds like a game show.
Yeah,
I kind of want that alarm clock.
right?
Oh, so now, okay, anyway, sorry. I distracted you with all this Korean
So
talk.
we're going to be going over our best gaming moments of 2018. So a single moment that really stood out for you when you were playing a game or thinking about games. And for us, it's got to be CC Chicago.
Yeah, that's mine too. We didn't discuss this in advance, but of course, right?
I mean, seeing everybody was really cool, but if we're going to focus on gaming, the thing Galloping Ghosts, more specifically, the largest arcade in the world, apparently had tons of arcade machines. We ended up beating Die Hard Arcade. Chris, you ended up beating Spider-Man, the arcade game.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
And we did Ninja Baseball Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Bonk's Adventure was there on the arcade. I beat The Punisher with Mrs. Q Dog.
Oh, yeah.
It was a really good time.
And that's part of it, too. It was also beating games with friends. Like, earlier in the week, we had gone to that the other, like, Logan arcade with Travis and his wife, Travis from Polykill. And that was a lot of fun. I don't know if we beat any games, but we played that Killer Queen Bee? Killer Queen Bee?
I think just Killer Queen.
Killer Queen. We played that, and that was a ton of fun.
Yeah, it was just so many players could play at the same time. It was really cool.
What was your best gaming moment, Chris?
I think my best gaming moment, and Myles can correct me if I'm wrong.
Is it Shut Up and Sit Down, Con?
I was gonna say something else, but like I've spoken about Shut Up and Sit Down. Shut Up and Sit Down, Con, is probably like my favorite weekend of gaming, like, of all time. So many different moments of that add up to like an amazing time. Spoken about it before. I'd say the other greatest moment of gaming was I think I plugged into Miles's #1 game and played that. So we'll let Myles say his #1 game, but that I'd say Shut Up and Sit Down, Con, and plugging into this next game coming up were my two big favorite moments of the year.
Awesome.
Before we get to that game that Chris plugged in and my favorite game of the year, we should probably go over some of the not so good things that happened in 2018, of which there are many, but we'll focus on the gaming ones.
Womp 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 womp.
So, who wants to start?
I'll start. I played a board game at Shut Up and Sit Down called Aeon's End. Imagine Dominion, then imagine Dominion where you're all playing as a cooperative kind of game, and you're all playing against a boss, like an evil monster, and you're all trying to work your decks to be able to do damage to the monster. Okay, and now imagine how much fun that kind of sounds like. It's like a deck builder where you're trying to like use spells and use stuff to.
It
like
seems
Munchkin?
to be hitting all the right notes.
Yeah, right. And then imagine that it goes on for 2 hours and is really fiddly.
Oh no!
Nope, garbage.
I don't want to imagine that. No,
no
thank
bueno.
you.
But there's a legacy version coming out. There's a legacy deck builder coming out.
Isn't that just mean that you're going to be playing it longer than the 2 hours that you hated?
But maybe this time it's good.
No, Chris, don't fall into the trap. You can't just add legacy to a game name and then suddenly be like, well, that fixes everything.
It did with Risk. Goodbye.
It did fix Risk.
It totally fixed Risk.
Mine isn't going to come as any surprise to either of you. It was a game that I returned, and I said to the people who sold it to me, this game is racist, and you shouldn't be selling it.
We were just talking about it.
And it was Shaq Fu.
Yeah,
Shaq Fu.
I'm going to call that one of my worst gaming moments was watching you play that game. So one of my best gaming moments was when you sold the game. It just was not fun. It was difficult to watch. Like, I'm glad you finished it, but maybe you're not glad you finished it.
Can I do a quick honorable mention?
Yeah, sure.
It was a moment recently, this past month, because I ended up going back to Sniper Elite 3 and I finished it, but there was a problem. In one stage, a glitch happened, and I had saved after the glitch had actually happened. So I had to basically restart an entire level from the beginning because my save point was glitched. And that was the worst.
But it's funny with Sniper Elite 3 because you had given up the game because you weren't interested in it. But then you picked it up again and you were like, actually, you know what? This game's actually kind of fun. And then you hit that glitch and you were like, this game. But at that point, it had already kind of won you over.
Yeah.
Right? And so you were like, okay, it stinks that I have to go back and replay this level. But you did it and then you finished the game. Which
it's just really fun gameplay. Ultimately, when you come down to it, the gameplay is just, it's there.
Oh, and the glitch was really stupid because there were these things that these generators that you could bust.
Break. Yeah.
And it would make noise and that would draw the attention of the soldier and then bring him out in the open. You could shoot him, right? But after Myles killed everyone, he broke the generator just for fun or whatever. And then in the next scene, there was a cutscene where you're supposed to, like, the guy's supposed to walk past it and then walk into the next area. But because you hit that generator...
In the cutscene, he gets scared and leaves.
Yeah. It was a cutscene. It made no... I don't know why it was like that, but it was super annoying.
It was trash. It was a trash thing to happen, but the game actually really fun. And thank you to the people who listened to the last episode and told me to get back to it. Musty.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, Musty was... And Travis, I think, actually. Both of them said the Sniper
What do
Elite games
those guys know?
This
Lots,
sounds
actually.
no bueno.
Hey,
all right.
Chris, there's nothing wrong with, like, giving a game a second chance.
Kathryn, I'm really curious about what your worst gaming moment is, because you don't like to speak ill of these games.
I can't think of anything to be...
One of us.
No, I'm really terrible at thinking of...
Here's some examples. You picked up Slime Rancher and then you put it down immediately and you went back to it.
I was going to mention Slime Rancher. I don't dislike the game, but it was making me feel ill. So I couldn't play it for very long at a time. I spoke very ill of iNinja, but I don't dislike the game. It just doesn't hold up for me. The other one is, and I don't dislike the game, is Red Dead Redemption. It's another game, Red Dead Redemption 2, that we bought, and I started playing it, and I liked it plenty, but I was kind of paralyzed with what to do. Like, at a certain point, like, I liked the stuff I did, and there's a really fun early on mission where you have to, like, bring this guy to the bar to just hang out with him, and
that's my favorite moment in a game this year.
Yeah, it was super, like, I wasn't
when you go for
it.
a couple drinks with your friend.
It's really funny, Chris, because, like, you get, like, progressively more and more drunk, and, like, you're trying to, like, keep track of your friend, and you don't know where he is, and then at a certain point, everyone you talk to looks like that friend.
Right.
It's just a really comical, funny scene, and it was like a nice little break from anything else you're doing. But I just found, like, for me, because I like to do all the things, I got really distracted early on because I stole a horse. Like, it happened in like a really quick succession. Like, I didn't control the character when he jumped on someone else's horse and ran after this guy who was running away. And then I got really hyper-focused on, like, trying to find out who I stole the horse from, because I have this problem where I have to play, like, the morally right way. Like, I'm always trying to do the right thing.
I think Chris has the same problem.
Listen, it's not a problem that in your fantasies you are an amazingly good human being. There's nothing wrong with this. What is this?
Like, it stops me from... I literally stopped playing the game because I couldn't find the guy who... Like, I ran past him once, and I heard, "Hey, my horse," and I didn't think anything of it. And then I realized, that means that was the guy. And then I ran around trying to find out where that was, but I have terrible in-game navigation skills, and I was like, I stole this man's horse, and I can't carry on, and nothing will happen to me if I keep the horse. I could actually tame it, I think, and, like, bond with it, and it'll become like my number one horse if I wanted to. But I just, like,
my number one horse.
That was my nickname in high school.
Anyway, so there's nothing wrong with the game. It's just, like, there's something wrong with me and how I play that game. So
cool.
You know what probably happened is that you passed the mission for so long that they just gave you the horse. They
Yeah,
assumed
it's
you're
probably
keeping
too
it.
late to return
Yeah,
the horse now.
the guy's
right?
probably not there. It's like you probably.
But
moved
I don't
on.
want 2 horses. I have 2 horses now, and I look. I can't feed them. One day, I just spent, I don't know, like an hour, like filling the laundry water bucket and like putting out hay. Like I just walked around, and then I was like, oh, I can do it again. And then I like grabbed some more hay and put it around.
You just turn everything into Stardew Valley.
I guess so. I just don't know how to like level up my camp so that so I don't want the people in my camp to be hungry or sad or whatever. So anyway, I get distracted.
I haven't heard too much that makes me want to play Red Dead Redemption 2.
Chris, how about you?
My number 1 game of the year that I played that didn't come out this year that was a fantastic game. It's a board game. It's called Inish. It is about Celtic clans in a mythological Celtic clans. Dudes on a Map game, which is like a bit of a war game. It is super simple. The only things you can do are tied up in these action cards. You draft the action cards at the beginning of the round. There are only 16 of them, and you use them every round. So every round, you're all drafting the same hand of cards over and over again, and you get to know these cards really well. By your like third pass, by the third turn, you know every card. You know what everyone's going to try to get, so you're trying to get the card that will disrupt their strategy. They're trying to grab cards that'll disrupt your strategies, but you're still trying to do your own thing. Game's super simple. The win conditions are interesting, and the cards are really interesting, and there's just so many decisions to make. And the best part about the fights, if you're not really like a fighty kind of person, the both of you, when I move a dude into your area, we can just agree not to have a fight. We can just agree. We can just say, hey, we're not fighting this time. At some point, it'll be like, oh, no, I really do need to fight you because like the win conditions are based on certain being in certain places. But if it doesn't make sense to fight, then you don't have to fight if you don't want to.
Does it ever start to feel kind of like gang-uppy, like
Sure.
or alliance-y?
Sure. So it's played from 2 people to 4 people.
Okay.
So with 3 people, if one person starts to run away, the other 2 will gang up on you. That is how 3-player games have to work. And at their best, they always have at least a catch-up mechanism, or you're never too far behind, so that like one person doesn't feel like they're completely out of the game. This game, I've been in the 3rd place position, but I never felt like I was out of it. I've owned this game for 3 weeks now. I have played it like 6 times.
Oh, wow.
And it's fantastic. Everyone I teach it to learns it in 5 minutes, and by like the middle of the game is like, whoa, this.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good. So it's the best board game I've played all year. It's probably instantly my favorite 2-player, 3-player, or 4-player dudes on a map kind of game. If someone was like, I want to play this other dudes on a map game, I'd be like, why? Why are we playing that instead of playing Inish? Like,
Yeah.
because it's not fiddly, the rules are clean and simple, and it takes like 5 minutes to introduce a new person to it. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic game. It almost makes me want to get rid of some of the other games I have to make space for other kinds of games.
Interesting.
Inish, really good.
Inish.
It's hard to find right now, but it's an expansion's coming out early next year, so probably they print more next year.
Imagine when this episode airs, everybody hears your review of it, and this thing's
They're
gonna
going to be running out.
skyrocket. Jeez. They're gonna be out of their back order already.
We're not even going to go buy this game.
No.
Chris got a copy.
Yeah, I've got a copy. What do you guys need a copy? 2-player drafting games normally don't really work. This one does. This one has the
that's
best
crazy.
2-player drafting. Also, the drafting, Miles, you'll really like this. This will only take me a moment. The drafting, you get 4 cards. You pick 1 card. You get the hand of 3 passed to you, right? You take the card that you've already picked. You put that back into the 4, and you can take 2 cards this time.
Do you have to do that?
No, that's a choice you make.
So every card is a cogwork librarian in Magic.
Yeah. Every round.
Okay.
So then you
Oh boy, that meant nothing to nobody.
Then you take 2, then you get past 2, then you take the 2, and you can put them back into the hand and take 3. But you don't have to
There you
take
go.
the 2 you already picked.
That's a hot tamale. That's a great mechanic.
That's drafting. That is, bueno.
So my favorite game of 2018, this game actually did come out in 2018, but it also came out in 1982, I think.
Yeah, Chris was alluding to this.
And Chris, you've been into it as well. And I'm speaking, of course, of the Tetris Effect.
Oh, so good.
It's so good.
Did not know that this was the experience that VR was missing until
Yeah.
I played it the first time at Fan Expo, and I immediately knew that this game was going to be a huge hit.
Yeah, Tetris Effect is so good just as a game, but it is something else in VR. It becomes a completely different thing in VR. And I haven't even played it since buying it. Like, I just did the demo, and you sat down, and I didn't see you for like 2 hours. We hadn't quite finished the game on easy. We're on the very last level. You started from the beginning and played all the way through, which
In
you
one
would
sitting.
never normally do, but you started from the beginning in VR.
It
and
is
just
so much easier
down
in
and
VR.
played it.
It's way easier in VR.
Yeah. I had talked about it when we did the demo, but the focus that you have, the no distractions, right? Like,
And you need the headphones to play the game. The music in that game,
is so good.
Oh, you gotta listen to the music. Why are you playing that game if you're not listening to the music?
it's beautiful.
Like
and
the levels, the music is responsive to your button inputs. It is a level of connection that you didn't realize that you could have with the game when your button inputs are actually affecting, the peripheral stuff. Like the music, it could be a silent game, right? It's just a puzzle game. But when the action of you just rotating pieces affects the music and like even the visuals, it's a level of connection that you have with Tetris that you have never had before.
the way that the music actually changes just in terms of the song that's playing will also affect the speed in which the blocks
Right.
drop. It's actually based on the number of lines you complete that the song changes and the speed changes. So as you're playing it, you need to eliminate 30 lines to move on to the next stage in journey mode. But by the time you hit the 20th line, the music will start to pick up, and all of a sudden your speed will go from 4 to 7 all of a sudden. Because that's when it goes
It's
with the
not
music.
a gradual build every 10 lines,
No.
which it used to be, right?
Exactly, yeah. And then that music mixed with the gameplay and the mechanics of Tetris reminded me a lot of the way that Doom incorporated the music into the gameplay. And the faster and crazier it got, the more stuff was going on the screen. And when you're playing Tetris in VR, that's what you get from playing Tetris in VR. You get that same intensity as the music picks up and the blocks are dropping faster, and you're like, come on, I needed 90 lines and I have 85 lines.
Leave me alone.
They're dropping at speed 10. I can't do this. I can't handle this. And I have never been a Tetris person. I am not good at Tetris. My favorite Tetris game up until now was Tetris Attack. And then the Tetris effect comes out and it just redefines Tetris, in my opinion.
It's so good. What is your favorite level in journey mode?
In journey mode, I like Jellyfish.
Oh yeah, Jellyfish is a good one.
I would say Da Vinci was up there,
Ooh,
but
Da Vinci's
I
good.
don't like the gears, the blocks that look like gears. And the fire level is really cool.
Fire level's a good level.
Man, I also like the chanting where the horses,
Oh yeah, the horse
the guys
level.
on horses go around the
I really
puzzle.
like the city level where every move of the blocks is a chord on the piano.
Yep,
Yeah.
that one's really cool. How about the one with it's like a rainy forest?
Oh yeah, and very nice.
So behind the actual Tetris board, there's graphics, right? There's animation and graphics going on behind it. And like each one is different. It's like the final level has like the blue whales and stuff, right? Going through it. Is that near the end? The jellyfish one has, and they kind of look like constellations almost, right? Like they're, they kind of look like screensavers, like old school screensavers that came with like
Yeah,
Windows.
yeah, they do.
But they look better. I'll go on record and say they look better than 90s
And they're also in
screensavers.
3D,
A little
right?
bit,
So
a
they're
little bit.
coming out of the they're coming out.
It's like a
and
laser show while you're playing Tetris.
It's beautiful. It really is beautiful, and like it's a completely different experience, and it's so hard to explain. So if you have the chance to try it anywhere, like at a demo or something, just give it 5 minutes, and you'll
And then
see how
it'll
different
be
it
30
is.
minutes.
Everyone knows Tetris, and it's really hard to like explain to you how this is a very different type of Tetris, even though it's just Tetris.
You guys give me a hard time for not finishing games, but I finished it on expert.
Yeah,
You finished it on normal and then you finished it on expert, right?
you finished the game twice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
of course.
insane.
Why
Yeah.
why wouldn't you do that? That's how you play the game.
Honestly, I can't. I'm not that good. There's no way I could handle it, but I'm gonna continue playing it. We beat it on easy, but
You beat it on
I
easy.
beat it on
I still
easy.
haven't beaten it yet, but
I'm gonna play it on normal and then hard, hopefully. But we'll see how normal goes.
When I beat it the last time, when I beat the last level on expert, I wasn't using the headset.
oh really?
Oh yes.
Is that clutch?
That's clutch.
No, I think he's just saying he's a real good Tetris player.
I'm good at Tetris Effect, I think, but no, I'll get a D at the end. Level 21. I'm not at the point where I can see the classic Game Boy level.
Oh, you have to level up as a character to see it?
You have to get to level 50.
Okay.
Yeah, because you get XP when
Yeah.
you play. Yeah.
Is level 50 the cap?
I think so.
Okay. So it's not like if you get to level 1,000, you unlock another
No.
mode, and it's
No,
like,
I think the Game Boy one is the first interesting one they've unlocked. There may be
Okay.
others down the road, but
Oh, I didn't even know about that.
Well, we got to play it until 50 now.
you
I
got it.
guess so.
Have either of you gotten a Perfectress?
No, I have not gotten a Perfectress.
That's 16 lines.
How do you get the 16? Oh,
You have to use the special mode.
The special mode,
Yeah.
yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. So with the special mode, basically it slows down the board, and you bank every line that you clear. And if you got 4 Tetrises, then it would clear, and you would have cleared 16 lines. I think that's the maximum they said you can get, right?
Yeah.
Is it 16?
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you watch them, they're playing up right up to the top of the screen
Oh, yeah.
to
Yeah.
get that 16th line.
Yeah,
So
it
it's
looks
tough.
pretty hard. Like, you have to have a perfect board, right? No holes, no gaps.
No gaps.
No gaps.
No gaps.
No gaps.
But it becomes harder, right? Because they don't disappear, so you're playing with very little
Yeah.
real estate at the top there. Yeah, I only ever used that special mode when I was panicking, right? Like it was
Yeah.
never like I think there is a way to set up yourself to be in a good position to bank like 10 or more lines, but I would never think of it until I was like desperate for it to just go slower.
Yeah, I just need to stop time and
Yeah.
get a hold of what's going on
I've
the
made
screen.
a mess of this board, slow it down so I could clear a couple lines or whatever.
Yeah, that's
And
what
the
I
other
used it
thing
for.
about that too is the lines that you clear after it, like it well no, I guess it always says. I was going to say it kind of smushes it all down, but I guess that's the way it always is. That's Tetris.
That's my Tetris. So, Kathryn, drive it home. What is the number one game of?
Yeah, well, I didn't finish Tetris. You played it. And I didn't finish it because I was distracted by Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. I've never played a full Pokemon game. I've played like
Ooh.
little bits and pieces. I did get into Pokemon Go on my phone for a little while, but I had already stopped playing it. When the first trailer came out for Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, I just was like, this might be the time I play one. Like, I never know. Like, I know people who are into Pokemon get super into Pokemon, and I always felt like that'll never be me. Like, I'll never be so obsessed with it. And right now, I'm also not super obsessed with it, but I am thoroughly enjoying playing it, and it's 100% has to do with the peripheral, the little Pokeball that you can buy to go with it. It seems silly, like, because I asked Myles, because Myles had pre-ordered it for me, and when he pre-ordered it, he didn't order the one with the ball. And then I asked him,
It's like $60.
it's
for the
like
ball.
$60, but then I was like, could you please? Like, I kind of don't even know if I want to play the game without the ball, which is so mean to do. But he was like, all right, fine. And then when I started playing it, and he wasn't around when I was playing it, I was like, this is actually really fun. Like, the graphics are great. It just looks good. It sounds good. But the ball is like so much fun to use. So I kind of demoed it for Myles. I was like,
You toss the ball at the TV?
yeah, I mean, you go through the motion of throwing it.
But it's like strapped onto your wrist like a Wiimote.
it has. So it actually has like rumble in it, and it lights up and it makes noises. So for every Pokemon that you catch, it makes a unique noise for it. And then there's so from what I understand, it is just like the original Pokemon game, but like souped up and looking nice. So it has like things that kind of like make the game easier. I liken it to vanilla WoW, right? People who play original Pokemon is like, oh my god, it was like so hard to do this, it was so hard to do that. But it's a lot easier in this one. Like if you buy the Pokeball, that's how you get Mew. So Mew you have Mew as
you just
right
have
from
Mew,
the very
just
beginning. Instant Mew. That means something to Pokemon players. It doesn't mean much to me. I'm just like, oh, it's a fun little electric cat of some sort.
I've never played a Pokemon game. I just know that Mew was like a hard Pokemon to get.
I think there was a movie about Mew.
Right? It was the
Mewtwo. Remember Mewtwo?
The Curse of Mew. Who is your go-to Who do you bring in clutch Pokemon? Who's on the team, Kathryn?
I don't know enough about who's good. I just have my Eevee, who I named Eggplant. I don't know. I don't do the right thing. I kind of level up higher than I need to be, but only slightly. And then I just go with my highest level person.
Okay, so who's your highest?
It's always my Eevee.
Okay.
I had my Pikachu, and I let Myles name him, and he named him after Alex Horn, who's from like Taskmaster, and he's a British comedian. And so I have a Pikachu named Alex Horn, and I just got attached to him right away. And I think he was a crappy Pikachu.
One of the ones that were like made on a Tuesday.
And so like I feed him every candy I find, and I was leveling him up. And now he's like caught up with everyone else, but I don't think he's like as powerful as he should be for his level, but I put a lot of work into him. So the one thing that I love about the Pokeball too is that you have an option to like take a Pokemon for a stroll. So you can put one of your Pokemon into the ball, and then he levels up if you walk around with him and stuff like that.
Do you walk around with it like in life?
I can put it in my bag. I haven't lately.
Yeah.
But like
in life,
and also in the game too. So my Eevee is like my partner, I guess, and so she rides on my head.
Oh,
but then you can also take a Pokemon from your party, and so I would have Eevee on my head and Pikachu beside me, my Alex Horn walking around with me everywhere. I've never been so into a Pokemon game, and I really, really like it. It's the game that I'm playing the most right now. And
how close are you to wrapping it up?
I just finished the 5th gym.
Is that Team Rocket's gym?
Yeah, those jerk rockets. There's like some pretty heavy duty kind of dungeony things. Like I went through something called the Sylph Company. It took forever. Like it's like a maze, and you go and you have to like fight and whatever. And
there's conveyor belts and stuff.
Yeah, there were conveyor belts, and there were like little teleporty things. It was a ton of fun. It's just that I didn't realize I was getting myself into an hour
major
and
dungeon.
a half or something of this. But
I was walking into a Persona 5 palace.
But the nice thing about it is like when Myles was like super into playing Tetris in VR, I could play Pokemon on the TV. Yeah, so I don't know if Pokemon's going to be my favorite game of the year, but right now it's the game I'm really enjoying playing, and I think it'll be the first Pokemon game I finish.
Right, and I know earlier on in the episode you were saying that the order isn't necessarily the order that you feel they're in, but you know what, this year had so many good games that I feel like you could put those in any order and it would make sense.
I mean, you don't even have God of War on yours.
Like, I wrote down a bunch of games.
I'm sure your list has a lot.
Spider-Man, God of War, Far Cry 5. I played Undertale for the first time this year, Overcooked 2, A Way Out that we played together, and Letter Quest Remastered, which was...
Yeah, we played that a ton.
So that was 2018. Let us know what your favorite game of 2018 was. And make sure that you go on over to the Cartridge Club forums and vote for your favorite game of the year, your favorite podcast. The voting will be up as of this episode. So
awesome.
You can go in there and you can vote. I'm not too sure. Do you want to vote for Flock Talk? Are we going to vote?
Let's vote for Flock Talk. Let's vote this year.
No.
Yes.
Vote for your favorite podcast.
Vote for your favorite, which is Flock Talk. Vote for us.
Or none of the above. Brewster's Millions. Great film. Vote for none of the above.
Flock Talk or none of the above? A vote for none of the above is a vote for Flock Talk.
It's an honor just being nominated, which I don't think we're nominated. We just exist as a one that you can vote for. But
there's a lot of other categories that you could vote for.
Including your favorite game of the year, right?
Yeah.
All right.
And
I will have trouble with that. I
Yeah,
don't
it
know
sounds
what to
like
vote
it.
for.
I think a lot of people will. Great year for games.
Good year.
But good year for games.
Good year for
Alright.
games.
Fair year. Fair year.
You know
was an
what?
okay year.
Very middling year. Very milk toast.
Subpar is what I would say, but it's subpar year.
Very
Well, you
bad
guys
year. It's
Change your tune
Just
quickly.
a pile of garbage
one
this
of
year.
the most garbage years ever on record. Literally the worst year for gaming.
Well, none of us could think of a worse year for gaming here at Flock Talk. Thank you all so much for spending this year with us. Hopefully you spend the next year and every year for the rest of your life with us.
Till your eventual demise.
We'll see you all in January. Take care, everybody. Bye.